Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. However, before we get into things, I just want to give a little update. Hey, now there were a lot of more modern pay-per-view events across WWE, AEW, NXT that I had yet to review, and it's been so long. I was so behind on them, and literally me being behind on those events, me be behind on reviewing those events has caused a little bit of a ghost to be following me when it comes to that. So ultimately, I've made the executive decision that I'm not going to review those only because there's so many. I'm so far behind, and that includes stuff like SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, NXT Battleground on AEW All In, and only because and Double or Nothing and stuff like that. Only because there's so much, and a lot of times they run at the same time, so it kept filling the backlog more and more, and it's going to happen again because it seems like WWE is doing events to directly compete with AEW, which is a very bad idea, but yeah, so I've decided I will not review those. Now anything past this point, I should, hopefully theoretically, be reviewing that being including, Forbidden Door, and I believe it's, um, not No Mercy, what's the upcoming NXT event? I believe it is, NXT Italy 2025. I believe the next one should be uh is it Heatwave? Yeah, Heatwave. Oh so Forbidden Door Heatwave's coming up, so that review will those reviews will hopefully be out next week. But yeah, the other ones I've decided I'll leave those to the wayside. Admittedly, I'm not. It does upset me a little bit, but I can't be too upset at it because only because there are so many, and I want to keep putting them off and putting them off, and they'll be so late that they'll almost be, I don't want to say irrelevant, but so past this time that I'm sure a lot of you, if those guys were up, would be like, "What the hell? Why isn't I talking about Double or Nothing from like 3 months ago?" So I've decided I will leave those to the wayside. But now switching gears, here's it's time for an invasion. More specifically, the WWF Invasion pay-per-view, the one and only that they did hit in 2001. So, as always, I am not professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I would say I had a pretty okay time watching this event. So I guess as technically this is where a lot of people consider this pay per view to be the first pay per view and the first event in the invasion storyline. Everything else that we reviewed up to this point is technically preliminaries, but it's important preliminaries. It's planted seeds up to this point, but for a lot of people, this is where the invasion really begins. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already have an idea of how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the event and about each match. And I'm going to go match by match. A couple things before we get into it, though. For starters, this originally started off as fully loaded, but because of the storyline, it was changed to Invasion, and I can't lie, they had a promo for it, like they promoted the upcoming event when I reviewed King of the Ring, and at first I was confused. I'm like, wait, there's a fully loaded in 2001? Did I miss it on my schedule? Because I was checking the schedule to see what was next up to review, and I didn't see fully loaded. I'm like, hey, what happened? Was fully loaded not there? Did I miss an event? Did they cancel it? No, Fully Loaded was the event that was turned into Invasion, and technically this would be the last Fully Loaded. It would not be brought back next year or so. That does kind of suck, but yeah. So fully loaded. It was the original name for this event, but it was changed to Invasion. But the other thing going into this is my goodness, the hype package is even the hype package to open things up very, yeah, very warlike. Comparing it to War and everything, a little bit over the top, but it was still very high. Although I believe it was Paul Heyman being compared to Joseph Stalin that was quite a choice, but it was a pretty hype opening package, and it does kind of show that the two sides are at war. Or now, how admittedly considering how the rest of 2001 goes in real life, is it slightly awkward? Sure, but it is still it does really build things up, which I guess is cool. The other thing, now that we get into the show proper, is that a lot of these matches I'm not gonna lie, most of these matches are pretty short. Or only two of these matches, besides the main event, and crack over 10 minutes. The rest are less than 10 minutes. So oh, they load a lot of no pun intended to fully loaded, but they load a lot of matches on this card, but a lot of them are really short, or which is really weird. If you're gonna have all these matches and just make them really short, why have all these matches on pay per view? But nevertheless, there was a match on Sunday Night Heat as Chavo Guerrero defeated Scotty 2 Hottie. But the rest is on the card proper, and it's kind of being treated like Survivor Series, where when WWF wins, they kind of get a point, and then when the Alliance wins, they get a point. Points. It's not really a point system per se, like with Survivor Series or with like say bragging rights, but if anything, this is kind of primordial. And I mentioned it before, it's kind of primordial version of the brand split that they would do the next year, uh, excuse me, but otherwise, it's not really like points. It's more so victories, and by the time we get into the show proper, or the alliance is technically up a point. But starting off the show proper in tag team action, we have Edge and Christian battling Lance Storm and Mike Awesome. Now, it says here that Lance Storm and Mike Awesome are representing ECW, but considering their team up, they bring up their team up history, and kind of the look for Mike Awesome here. It's kind of more like their WCW counterpart. Mike Awesome was part of WCW, where they kind of ruined his character a little bit. As I've kind of mentioned on the channel when I've been talking about the invasion, but it's nevertheless they are teaming against Edge and Christian here, and this match was okay. This match was pretty decent, I would say. All four of these guys are guys who are very impressive to see in the ring, and and they do bring up kind of the tag team history between Lance Storm and Mike Awesome. And also worth mentioning that Paul Heyman is now fully joined Team ECW, so he's no longer at the commentary desk. So now it's Jim Ross and Michael Cole, which I might not have liked them later on because I think that was around the time of heel Michael Cole. But here, I think Jim Ross and Michael Cole do make a very solid duo. Like thankfully compared to like Jerry Lawler and to an extent Paul Heyman, Michael Cole is a bit more subdued. I guess it's one of the reasons why he's kind of the lead man for several years after this point. But I think he complements Jr. relatively well, well, at least to me. But as for this tag team match, we do see even more signs of tension between Edge and Christian. By this point, Team ECK, a and Team ECKR which includes Rhino, are no more, or being torn asunder by the King of the Ring tournament, and which kind of sucks. Sucks. That friendships is ruined because of the King of the Ring tournament, but and the fact that Rhino has defected to the Alliance, but we also see more tension kind of between Edge and Christian, and it will lead to a split later on. But we will get there soon. But that ultimately Edge and Christian do pick up the win, and I believe after her after her Christian nails the spear on Mike Awesome, and Edge kind of falls on top of him to get the win. So big ups to that. They do get the win, but we'll see how things continue to unfold. And each time that a match happens or one side gets the win, we do cut like back and forth to both the Alliance side, like the Alliance locker room, and then the WWF locker room, kind of reacting to who won and everything. And sometimes if the Alliance wins, then the WWF will look like distraught. Vince McMahon will be very upset and everything, and he's hyping up his guys, I mean, like Undertaker, Steve Austin, and everything to get them ready for their match. And then when the WWF wins, then Vince will be happy. But then vice versa, if the WWF wins, then the Alliance will look kind of worried. But they're also hyping up their guys, that being like DDP, etc. But so we do see them cut back and forth between that to kind of give it's kind of a cool move, but it gives more of like a continuity to things to me. But it is nice to see it laid out throughout the night. But next up is the referees match as Earl Hebner takes on Nick Patrick. That's right. WWF referee Earl Hebner takes on WCW referee Nick Patrick. The WCW referees have invaded it's not just the wrestlers, it's the referees as well. And so Earl Hebner and Nick Patrick have been getting into it. A lot of people forget Earl Hebner can definitely scrap. He's had plenty of experience in having to fight back against Triple H. H and the special guest referee for this match, because it's a referee fight, is Mick Foley. Won't be the last time we see him on this card. But the referees match, it goes about as you expect. They're not like trained professional wrestlers, so I don't expect them to be busting out all kinds of crazy moves. It's just kind of a dumb, fun match. And the referees are and the other referees, both from the WWF side and the WCW side, I kind of come out, and they're kind of like pseudo lumberjacks in a way. It's kind of done like a lumberjack match. But why does WCW side only have like 3 referees versus WWF has like 6? What the hell? But nevertheless, Earl Hebner does ultimately for first of all, the WCW referees try to get involved, and Mick Foley sends them to the back. But also, Earl Hebner does indeed pick up the win. And as Hebner hits Patrick with what is described as a flying shoulder block. So Earl Hebner does pick up the win. I would have lost my mind, and I probably would have considered this the greatest match ever if Earl Hebner hit a pedigree. Like that was the only thing missing from this match. This is the shortest match of the night, and Foley does attack Nick Patrick afterwards, who kind of gets in Foley's face. But also, it's crazy to think that Mick Foley, what has been on all 3 sides of this whole invasion. He's in the WWF now, of course. Then he was in but he was also in WCW, and he was also in ECW. So that's nice little tidbit. It's but yeah. So Mick Foley attacks Patrick afterwards, and Earl Hebner gets the win. But man, I would have I would have paid anything to see Earl Hebner hit a pedigree on Nick Patrick. He learned from the bad, as Triple H definitely primed Earl Hebner for this. I wonder if I wonder if Triple H would have gotten involved in this. As it seems kind of like a long shot, but Triple H was out for the invasion, so you never know. Uh, but nevertheless, next up in tag team action, the APA, that being Bradshaw and Farouk, who are the WWF Tag Team Champions, battle Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire, who are the WCW Tag Champions. So, Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire have have been attacking some WWF talent, including the APA. They've been attacking them, so now the APA is fighting back. So it's tag team champions versus tag team champion, and it goes about as you expect. This match not too bad, not too bad. Especially the Palumbo and O'Haire are very impressive in the ring, and especially O'Hare, like for a man his size with his to have his agility is pretty cool. Well, sadly, not that long a match, and the APA does get the win. And Bradshaw nails, I believe, he Palumbo with the clothesline from hell. Also, the APA does get the win. But next up in singles action, and Billy Kidman, and who is the WCW Cruiserweight Champion, battles X-Pac, who is the WWF Light Heavyweight Champion. Oh, of course, another case of champion versus champion, and Kidman does say he's going to take out X-Pac. It is interesting to know that X-Pac has been also on both sides, at least in WWF and in WCW, but he's WWF through and through here, taking on Kidman, and it's also worth mentioning X-Pac. Uh, um, I'm not sure if I mentioned it back at King of the Ring because I believe he added at King of the Ring as well. But we do have the Uncle Cracker theme, so there's that. But also is worth mentioning at this point that Just Incredible is no longer a part of the X Factor. He left the X Factor, so now it's just X Pac and Albert. Albert will be in action later on tonight, um, but Justin Credible has left the X Factor or to join up with the Alliance, and it's more specifically on the ECW side of things, which does make sense. But nevertheless, we have this match here, and this match was pretty fun. And this was a very solid back and forth with both guys, both Kidman and X Pac, very athletic, very much high flyer. Ultimately, it comes down to who pretty much a mistake. That being when X Pac goes for his Bronco Buster, Kidman gets the leg up, meaning X Pac is probably never gonna have children again, and then Billy Kidman nails the shooting star as thankfully doesn't botch it this time, at least not from what I could tell, to pick up the wins, and pretty fun match, I can't lie. But next Raven and battles William Regal. Also, Oh, of course, William Regal, who, despite being from WCW, or at least part of WCW at one point, again is now part of Team WWF. He's the commissioner and everything, and so he's going to be battling Raven here. Her and and they do bring up Raven's history not just in WCW but also ECW, but Raven's more so on the WCW side of things when it comes to this, which does make sense. But ultimately, he not really a bad match, just kind of not bad, not abysmal from either side. Just kind of the air. The other big story is that Taz shows up and suplexes Regal, and that allows Raven to nail the what they call the Raven effect, but I'm sure others may know it as the even flow DDT in order to pick up the win. So, nice, great way to make your alliance look strong. That Raven needed help in order to beat Regal. But nevertheless, that's how it goes. But next up in six-man tag action, Chris Kanyon, Hugh Morris, and Sean Stasiak, all from the WCW side, battle Albert, Big Show, and Billy Gunn from the WWF side. Why are these six together? but they do kind of explain that Billy Gunn and Big Show have kind of formed a similar tag team, kind of formed, I should say, a tag team of sorts. Or and Albert's there, I guess, and then Canyon, Hugh Morris, Sean Stasiak. They kind of describe them as like young, hungry lions, so kind of like New Guard and everything. And this match kind of okay. A Which does suck because at least in terms of like especially Chris Canyon and some decent talent and within this match, but kind of a nothing match as well. I'll kind of take her to leave it. It's but uh but the WCW side of things, I think it's very much also supposed to be because Big Show, to an extent, Billy Gunn and Albert kind of tower over their opponent, hence even though Hugh Morris does have a decent amount of size to him, and I guess to an extent Stasiak, but they even bring up Sean Stasiak's father, Stan Stasiak, but nevertheless, they do kind of sneak the victory and after Stasiak attacks, I believe, Billy Gunn. Yes. Stasiak attacks him, and allows Morris, or I should say, Stasiak attacks Gunn sneakily, allowing Morris to pick up the pin and get the win for the Alliance. But they're immediately taken out afterwards. So, I guess WF wins. Gets the moral victory, I guess, but yeah, a pretty kind of match. But next up, Tajiri, he seeks to get revenge for his fallen friend, and Smalling comrade William Regal, and seeks to get his revenge against Taz. As It's even funnier when you consider apparently William Regal and Tajiri did not like working with each other in real life. But nevertheless, Tajiri, who worth mentioning is Team WF, but he was also part of ECW, who he takes on Taz as from ECW. Who in this match, nothing too crazy. Tajiri does nail Taz with the mist, and nails the buzzsaw in order to pick up the win. But otherwise, nothing too crazy happens in this match. But yeah, so Tajiri does get the win for the WWF. But next up in hardcore action for the WWF Hardcore Championship, Jeff Hardy, he from Team WWF, defends against Rob Van Dam from ECW / The Alliance. Now, a couple things. For starters, this is the only title match on the card, and I guess it makes sense. But this is the only title match on the card. The other thing is that RBD does nail Matt Hardy with the chair, in the backstage area right before the match. He manages to sneak up on RBD. Or RBD, he manages to sneak up on the Hardys, nails Matt with the chair, says he'll see Jeff out there, and sure enough, he will see Jeff out there. So Jeff is also kind of worried about his brother's condition as well. But this match, I'd argue, is probably, other than I think the main events, and this match is probably the best of the night. Like, this was just a very fun back and forth. And with the exception of the main event, and this is the second longest match of the night at 12 minutes 40 seconds, but this is just a very, very fun back and forth. It definitely helps that I love these two guys' body of work, that being RVD and Jeff Hardy, and lots of fun, high flying action between the two, who just makes the match even better, in my opinion. So, definitely a very, very fun match in that regard. And ultimately, RVD, he does manage to get the win over Jeff Hardy after placing the championship on him and then nailing the 5-star frog splash. The thing is, though, he put the championship medal faceplate side up. So if anything, that hurt RVD more than it hurt Jeff Hardy. But nevertheless, RVD does pick up the win and the Hardcore Championship. So congrats to him, and yeah, very, very, very fun match. Definitely, if you don't look at anything else from the show, for historical reasons or for like fun factor, or the matches I would recommend when it comes to that- for like fun factor, I definitely recommend the referee match. For I guess historical significance, the inaugural brawl, which we'll get to. But then for but then and the most fun for like absolute just pure fun factor, definitely RVD versus Jeff Hardy. They would go on to have other, or some would consider better matches later on, but as for this one, this is still a really, really fun match. But next up is the first ever Bra and Panties match, as has Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler from WCW / The Alliance Battle, Trish Stratus and Lita, and I use the word battle very, very loosely. And Mick Foley's a special guest referee. Mick Foley, they said, had a clause that if he ref the referee's match, he'd ref a different match, and this was that other match. All I can say is 2001 was a different time, and I will leave it at that. Ultimately Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler challenged Trish and Lita to this match, and they end up on the losing end of things as they're stripped down to their bra and panties. Like I said, 2001, different time. I'm but moving on to the main event, and in 10-man tag team action, and or as they bill it, the inaugural brawl, which pretty much just is, I guess, code for 10-man tag team action. The Alliance, and that being, or I think at this point they weren't called the Alliance just yet; they were still called just Team WCW / ECW. That being Booker T, the Dudleys, Diamond Dallas Page, and Rhino. Who are accompanied by Shane, Stephanie McMahon, and Paul Heyman. Battle Team WF, that being Chris Jericho, Kane, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. So, heading into this match, of course, WCW's been WCW / ECW has been causing a lot of problems. And Vince, and in response to that, calls for the old Stone Cold Steve Austin to come back, the one who was the foul-mouthed SOB who bucked at authority. He needs that Steve Austin back, and back that Steve Austin comes to help out Team WF and ultimately lead them into this match, which is going to make things awkward in just a few moments, but we'll get to that. Yeah, so Steve Austin is leading the charge for Team WF. As for who's leading the charge for WCW / ECW, honestly, I think it's meant to be Diamond Dallas Page, but you could also argue it's probably Booker T, but nevertheless, as you have WCW and ECW, who kind of uh it's kind of a coin flip as to who's supposed to be very much the leader, but even from even on paper, are very, very solid picks from either side. Granted, one of the biggest things about the Invasion storyline, which we'll talk about more when we like wrap things up, is kind of the lack of star power, or like major star power. But it is worth mentioning there was still some star power to be had there. But nevertheless, this match, very solid, very, very energetic, very fast paced. It definitely feels that the stakes are very high for this match, as both sides battle it out. Even starts off with a brawl, which I thought the inaugural brawl just meant all 10 would be just battling all around the arena, but and things do break down repeatedly in this match. But ultimately, it's just a 10-man tag, which admittedly does kind of take the wind out of the sails. But But nevertheless, we do see both sides. I think both sides get relatively plenty of time to shine. It is worth mentioning. I forgot to mention this in my King of the Ring review. How there was kind of a rumor that Chris Jericho and or Chris Benoit would take the WWF Championship over to the WCW side. I'd I'd and this was before ECW had entered the chat, at which Jericho and Chris Benoit were part of all three, that being WCW, ECW, and WWF. So there was that rumor in kayfabe, but ultimately it proved to be untrue. I do wonder what things would have been like from the Chris Benoit side of things, considering he had his neck injury and thus was forced to miss the invasion. But I do also wonder, with Stephanie McMahon being in charge of ECW, what Triple H, what the dynamic would have been between her and Triple H? Would Triple H have joined the ECW side? It makes about as much sense as what happens in just a few moments in this match. But would Triple H have stayed with the WWF and kind of opposed his wife? If in kayfabe they would end up splitting like the next year, so there's that. So I wonder if that was supposed to happen during the invasion. But nevertheless, how the match ends, which I'm sure is the moment you've all been waiting for, is that Austin comes in and Austin throws the referee. The referee was knocked out, so he throws him back into the ring and then attacks Angle, nails it with the stunner, and then Booker T pins him against the win. So Austin has betrayed the WWF and has joined the Alliance. Why? It doesn't. Here's the thing, and even before I fully got into the meat and potatoes of it and talking about the invasion storyline, and Austin defecting from WF to WCW slash ECW didn't make sense. And it's like this was some Austin very public was fired from WCW for not being marketable enough, and granted, also admit part of that is kind of there is some truth to that at the fact that he wasn't really the character that we all knew and loved yet, and then didn't spend that much time in ECW, and really found his major success in the WF. So naturally, going to WCW slash ECW just makes all the sense in the world. But then the other thing is, now even with context, seeing kind of like the hype packages, seeing the actual event itself, it makes even less sense now because Austin coming back as the real Stone Cold, or the old Stone Cold, I should say, happened that Raw right before this event ends. It was the go home Raw right before Invasion, and then even in this match, Austin spent the majority of the time with the WF battling the Alliance, and he was kind of kicking their ass. Why then would Austin immediately turn back to the Alliance, the people he was just beating? It made absolutely no sense. Now, when things started off with the brawl, before I knew it would be a 10-man tag, I thought Austin was going to stall and not come out for a bit, and then that would be how the turn happened. And Austin doesn't come out, and then when he does come out, then he betrays the WF. I think that somehow would have made uh, slightly more sense. It still would have been really weird and dumb, but it would have made slightly more sense. But then Austin turning on Team WF to join the Alliance it's just weird. It was pretty dumb, and that for a lot of people was when what was kind of the turning point, and when people started to really realize that, oh, this invasion storyline isn't going to end well. Well, if you can believe it's going to get even weirder, but that's for a different time. But that's going to do it for the event. If I had to pick the strongest and weakest match of the night, the strongest would either be the main event the or probably RVD versus Jeff Hardy. The weakest, probably Canyon Morse and Stazak versus Albert Big Show and Billy Gunn on but that's really just me. And the very much fun factor is the referee match from somewhat of a kind of dumb, funny in a way, Schadenfreude kind of point of view, but yeah, but nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on the post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below. Your thoughts on the Invasion pay-per-view and my review. Did you like Invasion? Did you like my review of Invasion? Let me know. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.